I want to make something very clear to you. There is no such thing as getting fit quick. There is no such thing as mastering your body with ease. But there is such a thing as gaining body mastery faster and easier than you ever thought possible, and getting stronger, more powerful, and more flexible, and gaining more mobility, endurance, even abs and high-level skill, mental clarity, and even energy than you ever imagined. And obviously, this has dramatically positive returns in all areas: financial, relationships, career, and personal health and happiness. But whatever you try, you're not just going to wave a wand and instantly gain abs, handstands, V-stands, or muscle-ups. But there are definitely ways you can get to way higher levels than you ever thought possible. Because when people simply think it through, it leads them to find the smarter path to maximum strength, skill, and sustainability. So in today's video, I have a very simple promise for you. I'm going to show you the laziest method for gaining body mastery. And by the way, don't ever let anyone guilt trip you for being lazy, because laziness can oftentimes be smarter. Unfortunately, people confuse working harder with silly, gimmicky methods for actually making progress. So I will show you how to build body mastery with maximum strength, flexibility, endurance, and athletic longevity without any of the confusing nonsense. And we're going to do this by evaluating all the different types of training out there and shed light on what optimizes the body for peak performance year-round and within the life that you lead. Now listen, as a practitioner and competitive athlete for over 30 years, I've been asked this question again and again. And I come from a very unique perspective because I own a successful training facility, so I have no course or video series to sell you. Trust me, I do not want that responsibility. Fitness influencers routinely sell courses online, and people think they know enough, then fail, blame the creator, and then eventually come to us to help them fix it all. And I have trained over 5,000 students and athletes and helped people overcome every obstacle you can possibly imagine to gain advanced strength and skill. Without a doubt, at least at this current time, we at Pacific Rim Athletics are #1 in the world for bodyweight strength, skill, and sustainability, proven by the feats of strength our students actually are able to do. So I'm in this very interesting position where I've trained across multiple disciplines. I've maintained and even accelerated my own training and athleticism through the years. I've trained thousands of students across multiple disciplines, and I've done this with people coming from all types of other backgrounds, even professional sports and former Olympians. And I've done this for over 30 years, for myself and for over 5,000 people. So I'm not really obsessed over any particular method or discipline. They can all work to varying degrees. My point is to show you the honest truth about which one is the smartest, simplest way. So you're not wasting 5, 10, 20 years of your life or 10,000 hours going down the complete wrong path and then complaining like 90% of the population about your weight, your back pain, your age, or not being able to do what you once loved. That's why in today's video, we're going to answer a very simple question. How can you gain the most amount of strength, skill, and sustainability with the least amount of confusion, pain, frustration, or wasted time, i.e. the least amount of effort for the most amount of progress, or the lazy way? You see, the lazy way is in fact the simplest, smartest way. There's this culture of grinding in fitness. Lift things up, put things down, obsessing over morning routines, optimizing a million ways to Sunday. Great. So why doesn't everyone have even a couple basics like visible abs, effortless pull-ups, press handstands, full splits, and pistol squats? Not to mention all the more advanced stuff me and my students do on a daily basis as part of just regular training. Is it because they don't train hard enough? Of course not. They're leaving sweat puddles everywhere. To be real, hard work is just one aspect of getting fit, or what I like to call gaining body mastery. And the best athletes on earth know this. You see, what most people are doing is like taking light and shining it into fog. It scatters and it goes in all kinds of random directions. They put in a bunch of effort working out, but it fragments all over the place. Maybe some nutrition, then some haphazard training here or there, some flexibility or strength, but then injuries or setbacks, or just lackluster results. On the other hand, if you take the same amount of effort and train right, it's like a laser sent through a lens. The energy is amplified and you gain things like a powerful physique, easy handstands, muscle ups, whatever you want really. The reason why I mention those kinds of skills too is because they are foundation for many other things. Olympic lifters use handstands as their basic foundation. Splits and flexibility are essential for power and martial arts to surfing. Pull-ups and muscle ups are part of essential upper body strength and key in rock climbing, parkour, or just doing work in the backyard. So these moves are just a basic part of life, health, and happiness. So today I'm gonna help you find the laziest training method for you. And I'll compare it to 5 different training methods you're probably very familiar with. And again, I've been immersed in all of it, so trust me, I know what I'm talking about. Now to make our comparison, let's use 5 categories. Difficulty, basically how easy is it to get started and to maintain. Risk, how likely you'll get injured or have setbacks. Sustainability, how hard is it to improve and maintain progress. Powerful movement, this is what everyone is really after, whether you want to admit it or not. Physical freedom, strength, looking good, all the aspects of body mastery, muscle, strength, flexibility, mobility, speed, power, coordination, all of it combined. And then growth potential, how far you can advance in terms of strength and skill. So those are the categories for comparison. But listen, I know there are thousands of fitness influencers out there telling you all the different methods, meal plans, and biohacks that they use. Here's the thing, I've done it all, so have all of our students. And the actual demonstrable physical movement is the proof in the pudding. That's why I can give you a full panoramic view of how this works. Let's start with the most common, general fitness. This divides into 2 subcategories. Resistance training, which includes everything with which you're familiar. Calisthenics, bodybuilding, powerlifting, Olympic lifting, kettlebells, and any other thing where you're pushing or pulling to generate force. And then the second subcategory is cardio. Walking, running, swimming, cycling, rowing, and any other thing where you're in constant motion using non-varying movement. Now combine those 2 subcategories with nutrition and there you go. You've got a great physique adored by 90% of the population. Well, my friend, not even close. Let's look at how it stacks up in comparison. Difficulty. First, this elementary combination of resistance training, cardio, nutrition makes up about 99.9% of what is called fitness. It is incredibly easy to get started with this, which is why it's sold like hotcakes to the masses. And no end of easy to use equipment makes it very convenient. Just go to a gym, use the numbered plates or machines, and you're off to the races. Relatively low risk. The only real risks are these: doing something plain old stupid or doing the same things over and over, which creates chronic and catastrophic injuries down the road, or doing only this coupled with a sedentary job, and it's a recipe for disaster because you think you're in shape, but you're not anywhere near athletic. So you get hurt doing activities on the weekend or regular life stuff. Now, sustainability. It's pretty easy to see progress if you structure your workout right, but the progress is very one-dimensional. You'll build muscle and lose weight, but the muscle is not functional or athletic. Even if you're doing something like calisthenics, you also need to have constant access to a gym, equipment, weights, or whatever else. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is famous for building a $1 million gym to have on site when he's shooting a movie. Not everyone can or wants to do that. There's no freedom. You're a slave to the gym. What do you do if you're traveling? We travel a minimum of 6 times per year. 2 US retreats, 1 international retreat, my surf expeditions, and our team martial arts competition. So there's a lot more to it. And then the powerful movement. Because it's easy and low risk, you do not gain much in powerful movement. Nothing really athletic, no coordination, no applied strength, speed, or power. People who do this might look the part, but they're simply not. Growth potential. Very little room for growth or advancement to higher levels of strength and skill. In some ways, it can even hold you back, especially if you're not simultaneously building flexibility, coordination, and athletic or daily life skill. So to summarize, general fitness, i.e. resistance training plus cardio. Difficulty, easy. Risk, medium. Sustainability, medium. Powerful movement, low. And growth potential, low. Now let's look at the second category, hybrid functional training. This is where you'll find CrossFit, HIIT, really any form of functional fitness, even those classes or videos like Insanity, Beachbody, any other type of hybrid style workout that puts things together in unique ways. Now, the ease of entry depends on what you're doing. If you just pop on a YouTube follow along video, it's really easy. But if you're doing anything beyond that, it gets significantly more cumbersome in terms of equipment, getting to the right gym to do the stuff, being able to accurately follow along if it's through videos. And then the risk is high. You're often combining movements from different disciplines or styles into workouts, sometimes in a competitive group training environment or under the pressure of a stopwatch or timer. There's a lot of moving parts involved, and in engineering terms, the more moving parts, the greater the entropy or decay into chaos. High numbers of injury also go hand in hand with these methods. Now, for sustainability, to maintain this can be moderately difficult because you're tied to a lot of equipment or follow along videos or chronic injuries that build up from the escalation of complexity. Now, you will gain more movement than general fitness, but Whether or not its quality is a toss-up. Sometimes people get a lot out of it and then go level up in a different sport or training method, but many times they end up with a false sense of confidence about their physical ability, which can set them up for problems down the road. And they might even get a couple of sweet moves, but it's often tied to all the gadgets of the gym and doesn't necessarily transfer to real life. So to summarize here, difficulty, medium. Risk, medium to high. Sustainability, medium. Powerful movement, medium, and growth potential, medium. Next up are the movement methods. These include every program that focuses on some kind of mobility or movement, usually with the body alone. You'll notice things like yoga, movement and mobility programs, flexibility training, animal movement programs, natural and flow programs. They all fall under this category. Now the difficulty. This is much more difficult to begin because of the nuance involved in training and usually requires a coach. There's various techniques and sometimes patterns, and these also require instruction. Now, when this is done right, it can start to open up better movement. The risk that's present here is that people forget how to move their bodies through decades of ignoring them. Then they go try and end up actually making things worse. Doing things wrong can get you hurt because people's connective tissue isn't ready. So sustainability, the ability to continue to improve and maintain these practices are higher than general fitness and hybrid functional methods and sometimes become part of a person's lifestyle. And although this helps out with flexibility and mobility, these systems usually operate at very basic, even remedial levels and don't get into strength, speed, power, or anything athletic. Someone messaged our company saying he was training in something that does quote unquote the same thing as us, but it was cheaper. And it fell into this category. It's not only not the same, it's not even the same game. Checkers versus chess. Now the growth potential, although you will see some rudimentary progress in flexibility and mobility, the ability to advance is somewhat limited and you stay at kind of basic levels of movement for a long time. It's kind of like learning how to say a few words in a foreign language and everyone can tell. So the difficulty, medium, risk, medium, sustainability is high, powerful movement, medium, growth potential, medium. Next on the agenda is the big one. It's all the rage online, optimization. This includes all your supplements, wearable tech, screens, apps, trackables, red light therapy, sauna, chiropractics, highly specialized sport-specific training, and physical therapy, cold plunges, and everything else that is, in essence, passive. Obviously, this is extremely easy to start, and it could, in theory, take an already solidly trained athlete to even higher levels. On the other hand, it's also basically our modern era's magic pill, and it gets more expensive the more quote-unquote therapies you get involved in, and a lot of them will backfire. I'd take a highly trained, experienced athlete or martial artist over someone who's hopped up on every supplement you can think of any day. Now the risk, depending on what you do, there could be an insane amount of risk. Personally, aside from the occasional cold plunge, I steer clear of all of this. This is only sustainable as long as you can get your hands on the products. And many influencers push this kind of lifestyle, but in reality, it isn't living fully, it's actually just life support. And you can see my brutal honesty really coming through here on this one. You shouldn't need any of this stuff. Powerful movement. Although you might notice a quick bump using optimization, you cap out fast, especially without putting in the work. None of this increases powerful movement and athleticism without the actual work of training the right things, the right way, with the right intensity. So difficulty is low, risk is high, sustainability is low, powerful movement is low, and growth potential is low. Now at this point, I've broken down 4 of the most common ways to get fit or gain body mastery. General fitness, including a combination of resistance training and cardio, hybrid functional methods, mobility and movement programs, and optimization. Now, as I've shown you, some are easier or lazier than others, some are riskier than others, some you can sustain for life, some can provide certain levels of powerful movement and strength, and some can give you room for growth. I've been immersed in all of these, including the cold plunges. And now I'm going to reveal to you what I believe is the absolute laziest training method you can start using right now. Body weight strength and skill. You see, body weight strength and skill is a way of training that transfers to any area of life in any sport or athletic discipline. In addition to the other 4 methods I showed, sometimes people will say, just go do a sport, then you'll be healthy. But a sport combines all of the areas I discussed along with skill simultaneously, which often leads to overwhelm and injury. It's why many people say it's better to learn a sport as a kid. A sport has the highest levels of risk, but also the highest levels of reward. And sports, especially those with only a ball, board, or minimal equipment, fall directly under the broader umbrella of bodyweight strength and skill. And so does all movement of life. Now, please don't confuse this with gymnastics. We want no part of that industry. I want me and my students to thrive in any environment. Indoor, outdoor, nature, being able to move with power in any activity or even daily life. Bodyweight strength and skill provides this, as well as the simultaneous development of strength, flexibility, mobility, speed, power, coordination, and even energy. And then this base transfers into all sports and all of life, like a seed that you plant in the ground and it sprouts into something powerful. That's why we call what we do Powerbatics. Now, I've used this in martial arts, surfing, acrobatics, and heck, just staying fit and healthy year round. The difficulty, it's easy to start because you only need the ground. Then eventually something simple to hang from is ideal. Coaching is obviously invaluable for the objectivity and accountability, but the difficulty is mitigated if you have clear levels of progress. Now, the risk is present in all areas of life. As I mentioned, the greater the risk, the greater the reward. I always teach to land like a cat. If you go level by level, it's the same as learning to drive a car. The whole emphasis is building level by level. So although admittedly there is risk in anything in life, this is something that actually builds you up from the inside out and that you can use for the rest of your life. Sustainability. Again, this is something that can be maintained for all of life, which leads into powerful movement. The handstands, pull-ups, pistol squats, human flags, flares, levers, katas, and skills are just a byproduct of proper training. Sometimes it even looks lazy. Sometimes it is some hard work, but it's focused in a way that directs the energy to higher levels. Your nervous system is being trained to handle more stress, and you think with more clarity. Your muscle and connective tissue is growing stronger to handle real forces and unpredictability. Your energy levels go higher and higher because your brain is literally unlocking new levels and experiencing the positive feedback of growth. Then you take that and apply it to all of life and everything gets better. So the growth potential, the sky's the limit. Difficulty, easy. Risk, medium. Sustainability, high. Powerful movement, high. Growth potential, high. At this point, you have a decision to make. Are you going to put your energy in the right direction? Or wait and dabble around until it's even more difficult, harder, and you're frustrated and angry? You see, it's not just about some muscle or cool moves. It's about transforming into a new, powerful version of yourself. That, my friend, is a decision that only you can make. So let me make it easier for you. I'm going to be opening up training for qualified applicants to begin their journey. To qualify, you must understand that gaining body mastery requires significant personal investment for obvious reasons, and it improves all areas of life: financial, relationships, health, and happiness. And you must be ready to train now. So if you want to learn how to gain body mastery with superhuman strength, skill, and sustainability before the end of the year from one of the best in the world who's done it for over 30 years across multiple disciplines and has trained thousands of people to gain some of the highest levels of strength and skill you've seen, this is just the beginning for you. If you want to find out how to do this, click the link in the description and apply for training. And with that, I'll see you in training soon. I'm looking forward to everything you're going to achieve.